Yo! What is good, everybody? Happy Monday to you. Hope you're all well. Hope you had a good weekend. Maybe you were playing with some found sounds. Maybe you were watching football. Whatever you got up to, I hope it was fun. Zamerits, thank you so much for the sub. Welcome in, Tom. Good to have you here, homie. We miss you. Saf, welcome in. And yes, Saffron, I am feeling much better. And you've got some track for feedback. We can check that out. And thank you, Paul. Thank you, Tom, for the sub. Thank you, Zamerits, for the sub. Thank you, Some Guy, for the merch purchases. And Danny as well. You guys. You're all awesome. Yeah, migraines are horrible. Seth says, I was recording some construction sounds and one of the construction workers came up to me and asked, are you a new reporter? And I said no, and then walked away awkwardly. A sound reporter. A recording reporter. Now that's quite the niche. You are an on-location construction sound recording artist. I could see that being a legitimate niche. Oh, Zamerits, that's great. Not that you were confused as a lawyer, but... What's up, Javar? Oh, Paul did your taxes. Is Paul the first one to do his taxes this year? I have not done mine. In fact, I was just staring at this giant pile of envelopes. Everybody's sending through all of their, what are they called? Their forms for the year. $11 free packs are nice, but the company is the best part of this. Wow, thank you, homie. I'm not a lowly reporter, I'm a sound recorder. If you run fast enough, you can avoid the Doppler effect. Oh, can that be a t-shirt, please? Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I like that one. Just here to do some background. Yeah, Paul, the easier the better in regards to taxes. Man, you know what? If you were to create a character, oh my gosh, I'm having a bit of an epiphany here. I'm not even sure if I should be sharing this out loud. Let me think about this for a moment. Modifying account numbers. Oh man, 1040 easy. Taxes were like 12 minutes long, right? Would have been like 3 minutes if you didn't have to fill in all of the little... Taxes. Tom says, did you know in Japan they don't expect you to calculate anything? They just send you a mail and tell you exactly how much to pay. There you go. Thailand was similar. There's a drive-through. We actually lived right next to it. Or just down the block from it, rather. But you drive through and you drop some money off. It's like, You know how when you go to like a big national park or something, there's the person in that little station that collects your money. It's just this tiny little, like, it's just big enough for them. Or maybe it's big enough for them and one other person, and there's a window on either side or something. But it's kind of like that. And it's like that parking lot is just always busy. People just always driving through, dropping off some money for taxes. Just swing by like once a month, drop some money in there. And they tally it to your account. Paul says, I owe both Fed and state, so no rush to pay. The crayon form, yeah. Oh my God, Pat Cromau. Oh, dude. I still make Crapamu a fair bit here at home. There's like 2 secret stashes of good rice. There's lots of different rices in the pantry, but there's 2 secret stashes of good rice. There's a really nice fragrant basmati for when I'm cooking like Indian stuff, and then there's a really nice fragrant jasmine from Thailand. And whenever I make the like legit Crapamu, it is brought out. So the only thing that I don't get to use every single time that would be a must in Thailand is the palm sugar. Instead, I just use a little bit of sugar. Cuckoo Kachoo stations. Hell yeah, they bring good food over. That's what Thailand is all about, man. Good food, good people. All right, so we're supposed to be getting our learn on today. I didn't get to do a stream on Friday with y'all because my head completely took me out of the game. But I'm sure that a couple of you probably were wanting some feedback, and we can check out those things. And then we should talk synthesis, because today's learning, this one, is all about synthesis. So this is where our real talk about synthesis kind of begins, because it's this in-order journey of how things kind of unfolded. Not in the exact order, but in an order that makes sense. And when there are time discrepancies, they're minute in the big scheme of things. I feel it's really important to introduce concepts and tools kind of like aside one another. So today we can look at Monarch, which is a brilliant emulation of the original Moog, and talk about monosynths and retro machines and kontakt, because it does a fairly good job representing virtual analog synths. That said, there are so many that you can play with out there. And as we go through each type of synthesis, as we kind of continue the exploration through time, we kind of have to pick a couple, right? Out of the giant sea of options every week. So we'll just pick a couple, and we can mention others by name. It'll keep us going. And this week of traditional virtual and emulation of analog synths is like a fairly brief overview of a couple of different things, and then a whole bunch of lab time, hands-on time for the people in the classroom. So this is a very light week in regards to like actually learning, right? So we'll probably make some stuff too today, is what I'm thinking. I've got a new product line to work on. Got stuff to do. Let's see who's got stuff up for for feedback from Friday that's sitting in this room right now. In an inordinate order. Say that 5 times fast. Who here in the chat gets migraines? And how many days do your kind of like tender eyes and whatnot stick around for you? Some people are really lucky and they have a migraine that wipes them out for like a few hours and they're back into it. I feel like that's the one side of the spectrum. And then there's the others that just get wiped out for like a few days. They just get such brutal attacks. Anyway, I ask only because of solidarity. I'm gonna kill this background music here, and we're gonna dip over to the Discord and see what y'all are talking about. There's a conversation about reverb happening in the public lounge space on the Discord. Paul, you rhymed. Brain and pain. Okay, so Tom weighing in on this conversation. He says one thing to take note is a concept called true stereo reverbs, which what gives the juice and glue, which is a very basic circuit that makes sure that if you put an audio on the left channel only, that the output will still be in both channels, mimicking an actual sound source with only projection to the left in a room of choice. Also, if you had a reverb on the channel strip itself, you have to pre-pan your instrument before going into the reverb, which means another plugin just to pan. Using the pan knob post of the reverb would cause the whole reverb to be panned along with the sound source, which means you're moving that whole true stereo sound space as well. So actually busting out the reverb is the most effective way. And algorithmic reverbs take up almost no CPU. It's when you get to the multi-application of audio signals through convolution reverb that things start to spike up. Absolutely. And then if you're a massive nerd like me, and use Volterra dynamic convolution reverbs, things get exponentially worse with CPU usage. And DJ Empirical is calling attention to audio damage. Wow, making their entire legacy free for everyone. Wow. Okay, so all of their legacy plugs are currently available for download. Okay. A lot of them were deprecated years ago, won't run on M1 Mac, for example, but there's a lot of good stuff there. All right, cool. Thank you, DJ Empirical. Yeah, we've only got 2 here, and we've got these guys both here in the chat. I say we do this first. So Saffron says I have two lens about this track. I feel it has a lot of character in this track, but at the same time, there are some mistakes. I feel can be fixed up in this track. Let me know what you think, what you can point out here. Okay, cool. Cosmic Fairy Lilith. Fairy Lilith? Fairy Lilith? Okay. Let's get our piece of paper ready here. And away we go.
And this evening, a special treat. We are visiting behind the scenes at the legendary restaurant in Paris that serves human flesh.
Nice. Nice. Nice little sizzle synth at the end there. Cheers, homie. Such a fun and bright sound to this one. It's it's got so many different things going on, but there's like this kind of carnival kind of appeal to it almost, right? Like there's like a carnival game alley, right? Where like you've got the sounds of like the competing games or something, and it's repetitious, and it's a cool effect. It's a really cool effect. I love the juxtaposition of the different textures and the ARP loop, and I really love the beat when you bring in that drum. And I want visuals for so many of your tracks because they just get so freaking hypnotic, but especially this one. And I love that little formant synth wiggle at 254. In regards to like sound and mix and everything, there's a couple things that I kind of wonder if maybe you could be doing some long form filter cutoff automation or something, so some of that brightness can be something that you go into for accenting to really kind of reach these crescendos, and then it can kind of be tamed a little bit. I think it's one way in which you could make it even more kind of undulating and hypnotic. But other than that, pretty darn good. I'm digging this one. This feels like it is like it's already part of an album. It does. And I like the super minute changes. There were actually a few things that were only in there once, and that was pretty cool. In all of the looping. That was pretty cool. Yeah, a sense of place. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you were thinking maybe some Adventure Time while you were making this? Mm-hmm. All right. Next up is Emirates, who says, made for, wait for it, another competition. This time for solos, movie trailer playlist, I went for brooding and mystery rather than impact sounds. Okay. This one is called Electric Goosebumps. And then after this, we'll go learn. Man, this is good. I really love the palette. I always end up loving your palettes, dude. Seriously. The layers are incredibly complementary, and it's allowed you to keep this down to such a small number of players. It's really great. And the space that you're allowing them all to roam in and breathe in is fantastic. Love the bass crescendo. These vocals and where they're sitting is the only thing that my ear is tuning into in this track right now, is something that might need attention, whether they need to sit on top. They kind of get tucked behind the synths, and at some points I really like that. I really like the effect of like them actually sitting right behind it. It almost feels like they found like a cozy little spot and they're hiding behind like the bass and the synth while these swells come up. But then when those swells go back down, they feel like they're still back a little bit. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe they come forward a little and then come back to that tucked position. It might be kind of a cool kind of push and pull effect with the rest of the music, because you've got these big swells coming from that brassy synth and the bass synth. Really nice feeling. Really good feeling in this one. This was a Friday night jam after some rum. All right. Oh, Saf, that track was 2 years old. I just saw this. Oh man. Yeah, I still dig that one, man. Hmm. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I like the idea of them kind of kind of surging up and coming back the same way those other things are swelling, it might be a really nice kind of interlocking relationship there. There was only a little rum. Oh. You know, Evans the Bard is in Portland, and eventually we're going to be able to connect. It'll be nice. Always good to meet Ohmies in the flesh. So, getting into logic here. Like I said, we're talking analog stuff, and it's going to be a brief look at just a couple of different synths, just to kind of start the timeline. We'll look at some modular stuff next week. But this week, just kind of the introduction to the concept of the mono synth, and the components that made it up. So, Monarch. Monarch is one of, in my opinion, one of the greatest Moog emulations ever. The attention to detail is just pretty astounding in this thing. Yes, yes, Evans, absolutely. We are all more hermit-ish. So I'm just going to run through kind of the functionality, the couple of things that are different in regards to like real world versus the software, and kind of talk through some of the things that I appreciate when it comes to emulations. And I'm a fan. I do love hardware gear for all sorts of things. But the things that I feel are the most untouchable are few and far between. I think that there's so much abundance to explore, like high quality abundance to explore in the software world. So without further ado, let's just kind of talk through this. So monosynths, they're used for bass, leads, and percussive elements. They were not just bass. We oftentimes, whoa, what just happened there? Not sure what just happened there. We will oftentimes, hear people talk about like monosynths as like a bass only kind of thing, unless you're playing with like a, sorry, let me kill these notifications. Unless you're playing with like a glide style lead or something. Sorry, organizing my windows here. So let's just talk through the importance of this thing as not just like a lead, kind of like, the upper registers, but also sound effects. Because I think that this is still one of the more amazing examples of what you can do with simplicity and synthesis. And, this specific monosynth lends itself to like a very specific kind of sound in different ranges of extremes. And it introduced us to some of the more iconic like sci-fi sound effects from back in the day. This also kind of set a benchmark standard for certain qualities that we really seek out in regards to the sound of oscillators reproducing certain characteristic sounds, as well as the filter. The self-oscillating filter was it was a really amazing concept to be introduced. So, oh, Javar says, started playing with Monarch 3 weeks ago. It's fun and simple, but powerful. Yeah, absolutely. No, Weremit. Tom says the ladder filter is pretty good. It is indeed. Yeah. I think that the more time you spend with a simple tool like this, the more greatness you can kind of tease out of it. This is, I don't know, I really like simplicity when it comes to a lot of synths, because when you get into the really robust stuff, you've got to, I think you've got to kind of set a time part of your time for exploration, right? Like you make a sound, you get it to a certain point, you save it, and you're like, all right, that's great. And now I just want to see what would happen if, right? These other synths that are much more slim in feature sets, I think that they help you stay focused. And then when you do reach that point of like, okay, so that sounds pretty good, the whole exploratory period of now what would happen if you're restricted to such a finite range of options. So it's kind of akin to being able to zoom in and use different tools inside of Photoshop or something like that to make these kind of fine-tune edits, right? Yeah, you'll see what I mean. What a great sound. So good. Vangelis. Paul says, wonder if self-oscillating was designed or discovered. I've always felt like it was discovered. Yes, bunch. Absolutely. Yes. And all of the blocks that these are made with are available to be used in the modular environment as well, which is absolutely great. Oh, nice, Javar. Iron Imp, yeah, isn't that funny? It's like the only thing they protect in there is the code for the ladder. Ooh, with Waldorf wavetables, that's cool. Man, there's nothing quite like just their default patch, though. It's really quite incredible. All right, so in regards to the types of parameters that you had to play with in a synth at that point, it was very slim, right? You had oscillators, which served up a range of like predestined shapes, right? There was no wavetable yet. You had volume, of course, feedback, noise. You had a filter envelope, and you had your amp envelope, and you had filter. you add your wheels, your pitch and mod wheels. And that was it. That was all there was. Yeah, Javari, you should share the link. There is a B. Remember, I always encourage you to click on B. It doesn't light up. It doesn't tell you that there's anything there. All of them have the B. Click on it and see if there are more settings. If NI made it, oftentimes there is a B panel to be looking at. And oftentimes it's going to give you access to the things that you wish you had control over on the A view. So there is some guts here. So just really quick, you can have 3 different setting schemes. What you find on the back end here is stuff like voicing control, key tracking, octave tuning, pitch bend range, what else? Linear or Moog filter, and then leakage and drift. So just really quick, the keyboard legato, it basically gives you control over the behavior of notes as you're sustaining chords and, you know, moving your fingers around, obviously, legato. Glide, pitch bend, not just range, but also the curve at which the bend is being applied. Mod wheel, and you also have, again, some control over the shape of the curve. And then you can apply that curve in varied amounts to both the pitch and the filter cutoff by way of the mod wheel and the pitch bend wheel. Oscillators, you have key tracking and octave tuning. And you can apply this to those oscillator sets here. And I already mentioned the filter, and then the leakage and the drift amount. These are where the imperfections kind of come into play. So if you want more of those or want them to be more prominent, you can dial those up. And if you want this to be a more exacting, more modern tool, you can dial those down. So back to the front end. On this front panel here, the very first one, tuning, octave, this is your entire synth. So you have oscillator 1, 2, and 3 over here, and you also have volume control for each of those over here, volume 1, volume 2, volume 3. But this is your global tuning. This is your glide parameter. So if you've dialed in some glide, this is your timing, legato or off. And then again, you're switching between a silver or a Moog curve, which you also have the option of in the filter here as well. So linear versus concave. Pitch bend wheel, mod wheel. And then this is modulation, and we'll get into this in just a little bit. See if there's any big questions right out the gates here. Lindenberg Research, huh? Squinky Labs. Paul, you can post the videos if you want. So just really quick, just to go back and explain this tuning panel. So this is going to shift the entirety of your sound independent of the settings over here for tuning. And then, of course, the fine. Double click takes you back to middle. Glide. And if you want to hear the difference between the Moog and the silver curve. So silver is very linear, and the Moog algorithm has a curve to it. It's got a bend. Okay, so oscillator 1. You've got no fine control over pitch value, but you do have control over your waveform select and the range, which is your octave. This currently is not up, but if we were to turn it up, we could really get down there. Oscillator 2. And oscillator 3. That's just 2. And that's with 3 brought in. So it's, you know, you create your desired timbre through detuning and volume mixing, really. The more you detune, the more separation there is between the two sounds if they share the same waveform type. And of course, you can change the waveform type to get even more separation. All right, so noise. Let's turn off these other oscillators real quick. Oh, feedback, of course. I'm like talking noise. It's the feedback knob. So feedback, those self-oscillating filters. And noise, so they're both really robust, which means you can use both of them for sound design as well, which is where a lot of the classic sound effects that you originally heard coming from the Moog were really coming from. So when your mod switch is enabled on a panel, the modulation wheel over here will start to introduce some modulation. we can also use this with our filter. So if we're using noise, we can use noise to affect something through modulation. And if we've got our oscillator 1 set up, we can use that as a modulation source as well. I'll just turn off my notifications here for a bit. Got myself on my computer, but not my Slack, so. All right, cool. And this actually starts to become rather neat when you're really in a groove with it. So you can hear some noise being introduced here. I think it's a pretty neat kind of effect. All right, and then you've also got key tracking, and key tracking is over here. You can key track filter envelope. You can also key track oscillator 3. And what this means is that right now oscillator 3 is following pitch changes. Like if we were to just turn on oscillator 3, and if we were to turn off key tracking, that oscillator is no longer following the keys of my MIDI controller, is all that means. And now the same is true with the filter envelope over here as well. So if we were to turn on key tracking, we would be moving around in the cutoff position of that filter. So other than that, the things that you find on this synth are really commonplace. And they kind of got their starts around in this period of time. I mentioned the self-oscillating filter. That's why you get sound when you turn up the feedback knob, okay, because you've got a self-oscillating filter over here. You can run in the mini Moog mode, or Moog mode, which is a low pass, but again, it's got a certain kind of a curve to it. You've got another low pass, and a band pass as far as your filter types. That's it, really. It's incredibly simple and very, very robust. I've never found an end to like discovery with a simple mono synth like this, ever. I've never. And you can just start playing pretty freely. I would recommend playing with one oscillator at a time when you're first getting started, so that way the cause and effect is more clear in regards to what is actually happening when I turn a knob or push a button, right? And if you're not sure what the effect is, just make it more extreme until you can wrap your mind around what's happening. Right? And try not to get too technical at first, because the epiphanies that you have internally before you start applying technical terminology to it, those are important moments, because you're making connections. Sure, you're making some assumptions, and not all of them might be correct or even in the vicinity of correct, but you're allowing like these natural processes to occur, right? And hard correcting an assumption that you made originally that was incorrect is going to be more memorable than just reading a line in a manual or listening to someone drone on about what a parameter does, right? So that's why I'm trying really hard to use restraint here and not get too technical about these things. I would encourage you to get in there and turn knobs and stuff before you start looking up the technical jargon if you're not comfortable with synths. If you are comfortable with synths, then you can just read a manual and you understand the capabilities of the different parameters because you're already wired, right? But for those who are not currently wired in all of this, this is a really good way to kind of start to feel this out, right? It takes the intimidation factor down and it allows you to gain a bit more control over your discovery of these things. You won't have words for all of it at first, and that's totally fine. When you start to put words to things that you've already experienced, it's just easier. We know this. We know this from other things in life. So, what are you guys talking about in the chat here? Jafar is saying, yeah, if you do a search for Minimoog on YouTube, there's a gazillion videos of people showing how they set up their patch. Yeah, absolutely. You're right, Bonch. When I first was playing around with Oscillator 1, the power button was off. And I agree as far as the dirtiest of the emulations. I totally agree. They've put together a couple of videos in regards to how Monarch was put together. Most of them were mostly just marketing pieces, but there was one kind of in-depth dive and that actually talked a bit about the DSP and their pursuit of excellence and just how big of a rabbit hole it actually ended up being to try to get it like really, really nailed. It's quite impressive. These are pretty great steps backwards, though, aren't they, Paul? So, HS8s, huh? And BlackBerry recommended them. Then they're good. You know it's good if BlackBerry gave you a recommendation or if Tom gave you a recommendation. I've got Adams. Yeah, Iron Imp is saying basically the same thing. Yeah, for as much as I love to talk about filter topologies, just playing around with stuff will give you that understanding in a musical context. Then there's interesting stuff to learn as to why. Exactly. I feel like the pursuit of knowledge prioritized over the consumption of knowledge prioritized over the experience, like the tactile experience of like touch and response. They're two very different ways of going about all of this. And if you're just not already steeped in language and programming and engineering, then sidestep a lot of the pressure and like stress that comes with like trying to break through with a new piece of technology, right? And just while you're playing with this, try, if you can, to put yourself into the mindset of someone who's been blown away, just absolutely freaking blown away by the fact that a lot of your favorite television programs are actually in color and that you've just discovered this like in your own living room, right? Like a lot of people were getting away from black and white and into color TV sets in their living room while these tools were coming out. Of course, they had seen color things, right? I had black and white TVs still in the house when I was growing up. So these things were incredibly expensive and uncommon. Like the average person wasn't touching these. So when they did, it's not like there was a big manual put in front of them. And there was so much new here that it was all basically just as overwhelming as it is to sit down in front of Serum as a first-time user today, right? But first-time users of Serum today are loading the thing inside of a DAW. So they've obviously gotten somewhere with technology. Like they have a baseline understanding of all sorts of things that people of this time simply did not. So try to approach this from a sense of wonder. Not just the sense of wonder of like, ooh, ah, but also like, I wonder what this does, you know, which is like, you know, kind of reframing the concept of operating with wonder. And it will slowly help you unlock things in a little bit different way. We've become fairly obsessed with the optics of things in our modern digital age. And we really had to rely upon our ears and our common sense, right? Or common senses, to kind of navigate these things. So try and get yourself into that mindset when you're playing, with a tool like this. And it's a tough thing. But it's also really great if you can kind of touch that mental space. Yeah, Iron M. I'm pretty much the same way. I like to just open something up and start playing with it, and then I go back and I start reading, and I usually figure things out pretty quickly that way. Dude, Tom, go get some sleep, homie. Thanks for hanging with us. Good to have you in the mix, homie. Yeah, I like black and white movies a lot too. Yeah, so Javar was working at a TV repair shop fixing black and white TVs in high school. I think that's something that's pretty special about the mainstays, like this core group that's always here. This small group that we have here right now. I feel like all of you operate with wonder. I think it's great. So that in a nutshell is Monarch. We can go through the concept of modulation, but I'm pretty sure that everyone in the room has a pretty decent understanding of modulation. The only difference here is that you don't have the visuals to help you. So some of the time when you go to make these assignments, you're going to be making them backwards. And that's a good thing. So instead of having someone walk you through those things, I feel like it's a really good thing. You have those moments of confusion and frustration, and then you figure it out, because it's like the next logical thing to switch up in your workflow. And then it starts to become this solidified understanding of the cause and effect and the relationship and the directionality and just how it all works, right? Oh, a release. I don't think I talked about this. This is release. So this is this thing going to have a release value as well? And when these are selected, then your decay becomes your release time as well. But everything else has already been covered in this. I don't know if I talked about the specific waveform types. They're just slightly different than what you would expect. There's triangle and ramp and saw and then pulse. There's a pulse 50%, which is a square. And then there's a pulse, probably like a 30% maybe, or 25. And then the other one's maybe like a 10 or something. I don't know. Skinnier. Which is the same as what was on that original Moog. So that's this. The other one that I would normally pull out in the classroom while talking about all of this stuff, and I haven't played with either of these outside of the classroom much in recent years, so it always takes me a minute to reacclimate. The nice thing about the retro machines in Kontakt versus others is that you only have to learn one interface. And I'll show you what I mean. A lot of the DAWs have like a retro synth kind of collection now. And it gives you access to things like FM and subtractive, but it's like through emulations basically. There it is, Retro Machines. All right, so in here, I'm just gonna pull up the web page really quick. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because if they still have it anyway, the originals, yes, they do. Okay, so if you go to the landing page for Retro Machines and then click on the originals right here, it takes you to a list of what the instruments are that are actually showcased inside of the instrument itself. So there's the ARP Quadra, the Orchestrator, the Rode, the Mini Korg, the Poly 6, the Memory Moog, the Mini Moog, the Oberheim 4, the Matrix 12, the Rhodes Chroma, the 368 Electra, the Roland EP10 and EP20, the Roland MKS 80 Super, Jupiter, Sequential Circuits Pro 1, String Melody 2, and Yamaha CP11. So all of those are represented here. There are, like, Arturia has, like, the Game Over collection. That's, like, they've got everything in there. And I think they're always updating it, if I remember correctly. So there are obviously more robust ones. One thing that's really nice about the Retro Machines is, like I said, you learn one interface and then you know all of the tools in here. So you don't have to re-familiarize with yourself with the lay of the land, so to speak. And there are some unique ideas in regards to how to actually make this a more modern experience. And the sound variations, this morphine table down here is, I guess, what's worth the price of admission in all of this. Their sounds do sound good, but it's this sound variations thing that's really, really cool. So we don't really need to look through like all of the functionality of this as something, you know, specific to native instruments. But just kind of understanding that the types of parameters, knobs, like what things were called, they did vary from one type of tool to the next. There wasn't one truly standardized language for everything yet. I think that's still the case for some things. But yeah, I feel like it's good. It's good just to play with some tools that have controls and parameter names and stuff that you're unfamiliar with, because it ultimately ends up leading to more discovery, and that's awesome. Like, that's what we need, right? Wow, this thing sounds so quiet compared to the last one. Wow, that's with the gain all the way up too. One nice thing about these is it's got a percussive button. So you can dial in the sound and then just stop it short. It's also got this chord arpeggiator trigger back here, which means you can use this kind of functionality with all of the synths, which is obviously bringing this kind of functionality to a tool that didn't have it originally in some cases. So it's a really quick way to, you know, bring a classic sound into a different mode, basically. Whoa, what did I just do? Yeah, I'm not sure if I actually feel like going through all of the features of each, or of this interface. For those of you that do have retro machines and spend some time with it, I'm going to also just really quickly, just as a quick comparison, pull up Retro Synth inside of Logic. So you've got analog, sync, wavetable, and FM as options inside of the Retro Synth in Logic. And I honestly don't know what the current offerings are in the other DAWs. I just know that there are some offerings in regards to what kind of like analog emulations there are built in. And these are actually pretty good inside of Logic, I would say. MK Ultra, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Happy Monday. We're talking old school style synths today as part of our journey through a 16-week course together, talking about synthesis and sampling in this first tract. You have to remember the presets. Yeah, Zamertz. I used to carry around this little notebook with me that had all of these, like in very small writing, of course, all of the settings for all the knobs, and oh man. Iron says, I feel as though, well, anyone can get into it. Analog subtractive synth is a much friendlier approach than FM. People's fingers will find the cutoff knob and they'll be rocking out. Can't quite say the same of programming an FM patch. And you do really want saves in memory for that. Exactly. Yeah, that is one thing that the retro machines approach has a leg up over others, is that people coming at this from the very first, right? They're learning this one interface and they're getting to play with all of these other classic sounds. And in the Arturia ecosystem, it's different, right? Each keyboard, right? Each synth has got its own classic interface. And I think all the others are like that as well. So that is one thing that they have going for them. And the fact that this sound variations thing is pretty wicked. Let's get one that's got a bit more of a noticeable thing going on. Let's see here, Asia Glass Bell, maybe. Wait a minute. I was on the wrong instrument. All right, so here's our glass something. Asia Glass Bell. Okay, so here's a nice one. So how this works is these are different preset variations of this one patch, right? So similar to other NI instruments like FM8 or you know, these sounds that you can have, the morph table moving around. Alchemy also has it in Logic. The concept is you have one main patch that you're working from, one main preset, and then you're going to have a subset of variations in there. Sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 8. So it's like a preset inside of a preset. Now this will allow you to operate in this one and yet move the slider down here and borrow characteristics of another one. So in other words, you can kind of smoothly move between these different kind of variations. And one really fun way to use that is set up like a default position and then leave your other ones blank basically and set up number 8 as this really extreme version or like extreme different version, right? So maybe it's a really long attack and you're also going to change a couple of positions. Okay, so over here on the left, we've got this one. And over here on the right, we've got this one. So we can move towards the timbre of one, and we can move through some of the timbre and delivery changes of the other variations along the way. But we're still maintaining certain aspects of the programming from the preset that we have selected. So it's a really cool way to find like some organic kind of cool movement in a more modern way with really old classic, like iconic type sounds. I think of what else I actually want to say about retro machines specifically. Not a lot. Normally I run through every single feature. I don't think I'm going to do that with you guys on this one because not everyone is using retro machines. I think that the takeaway here, similar to what I was saying at the beginning of the conversation about the Moog, is that this mono synth is not just a great like learning tool, but it's a really great production tool. And limiting yourself, putting in limitations or restrictions in regards to the number of things that you can touch or use to make a sound is really one of the more profoundly powerful things that you can ever do to increase your understanding and creative output. It helps you really solidify a lot of stuff. And then the same can be true about playing with other synths from yesteryear. Again, if you've got Arturia collection, that is pretty darn unbeatable. There are other really large collections like that. And again, DAWs usually have some kind of retro synths collection nowadays too. Arturia's V8, love it, says Zamertz. Yeah, I was just looking at a video of the latest V8 update. Really something. Iron Imp says the Buchla Music Easel almost sold me the Arturia collection by itself. I'm kind of thinking getting Reason though for a different collection tool. You know, Reason is amazing. It really is. And yeah, just being able to use it as a plugin is super beastly. Oh yeah, so and Jafar brings us up, is a good point. Yes, of course, it's using samples, retro machines. Anything that's running inside of Kontakt is. It's a sampler. And most of the retro synth options out there are just that. They're sampler libraries, right? Multi-sampled libraries. Then there are those that are true synthesis, right? Like the Monarch. That's one of the reasons why it sounds so flippin' good, is because this is legitimate synthesis. And yeah, they got the synthy too, Iron Imp. Yeah. Yeah, and Diva's amazing, Javar. Everything that Urs and the team at UE has ever made is just absolutely phenomenal. There is nothing bad that comes from them whatsoever. Iron Imp, yeah. Macro controllers are really cool. Simply put, if there's two knobs you love to turn, but you want to turn them both at once, even in a Euro rack. Yep. Retrolog in Cubase. Paul is saying, isn't Serum basically laid out like a mini Moog, just on steroids for each module? Sort of. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Iron Imp is saying, I guess you could say that preset morphing is kind of a macro control. Normally, a performance multi-assignment knob is part of a patch, but then that's beneath the hierarchy of the patch, etc. Exactly. Yep. A preset table. Yeah, yeah. I like the different ways in which Native Instruments has explored morphing capabilities within your programming of patches. I think that FM8 is one of the best because it has a corresponding, and we'll get into this in the FM week, but it also has a corresponding programming page for it as well, which makes it just utterly fantastic for really quick edits because it isn't a there's no techno jargon in this page. So if I were to pull up one of my patches, which I know has all of the everythings already. So if we go into the Easy Morph tab and play around with this morphing matrix, there's so many great ways to start to tease out characteristics from these other quadrants. What a great sound. Okay, so anyway, back to what I was going to talk about. These little knobs and sliders over here give you quick access to the LFO, the overall timbre output, and then there's a timbre envelope and an amplitude envelope. So not only could you take something, right, really sharp and turn it into like a long form pad kind of sound, right? But you can also start to affect timbral changes through the idea of making those changes disclose through envelope. And you can also affect things like detuning and harmonics. Yeah, so you just end up with these crazy sounds in no time. So we'll definitely take a look at that more when we're in the FM8 week. But I really like their dedication to the pursuit of just the concept of morphing, right? And what it means to like really program a synth well and then be able to take advantage of all that programming in different ways. Yeah, Javar makes a good point. Once you figure out what the knobs in the Minimoog and Monarch are, you'll recognize most of the knobs in other analog synths. Exactly. What's up, Cody Modi? How you doing, homie? Welcome in. Happy Monday. Hope you had a good weekend. Yeah, another reason why you should start with the very early stuff and kind of make your way through it, even if it's just a matter of like, you know, spending a few weeks in your spare time just going through a lot of the really old tools and spending like one evening each with them and kind of getting an understanding of like, oh, okay, so this feature is here and it's different here because this synth came out 3 years after this other one. And this other one is when they introduced that whole concept. So this is the second step in that evolutionary process, right? So then when you find the next step in that evolutionary process in the synth that was released a few years after that, you are picking up in real time. You know what I mean? Like you're walking in the same footsteps as the people that are developing these tools and using these tools. It's just that you've gone back in time a bit to do it, right? So you can come up to speed very, very quickly on a lot of this stuff. And I think sometimes it's almost necessary to go back to the roots of a certain something to really be able to wrap your mind around it, to get to where they've leaped to in like the software realm, you know? Paul says, Roland and Korg VST, their classic gear is appealing, but I think their subscriptions and management seem off-putting. Yeah, this is going to be a really hard one for everyone to suss out moving forward. I mean, I'm right in the middle of that thinking right now, and I have been for the past year. Like, subscriptions are kind of necessary at a certain point. Not ultimately for everything, but for a lot of things, it seems really necessary. Like the ongoing pursuit of excellence in regards to synth emulations is a really good example. Like there's so much that must be done to not just make those things, but then keep them compatible moving forward. You know, DJ Empirical was sharing the link from, who was it? Audio Damage, right? Releasing all of their legacy plugins for free. Those things won't even work in modern tools. You know what I mean? It's like, at what point do you cut ties there? And we've gotten to the point now where it's like, why cut ties with some of these things? Because they will be legitimate and relevant for many, 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 many more years to come. Probably decades, right? Some of them maybe even longer. Like there are some gems out there right now. And so to keep that going, to keep the brains plugged in, so to speak, and to keep those things evolving as we're growing, yeah, it's a tricky nut. It's a tricky nut to crack. What I've been thinking is that we have to bundle these price value perceptions in different ways in people's minds. Like maybe it's not just the synth, maybe it's your whole tool, all of your synths, all of your sound packs that you would normally buy, everything. You know, if you could eliminate 3 or 4 other subscriptions in someone's life and have them get all of that stuff with one subscription, I think that's what's next. It's tough though. If you're a fan of many different companies, oftentimes that means juggling a lot of different subscriptions and purchases. Yeah, all the stuff that sounds really, really great and is true synthesis is also going to destroy your CPU at full resolution. You are absolutely right, Iron Imp. The whole thing is actually a simulation of component modeled electrical systems, not mathematical approximations, but measurements and delivered from SPICE circuit design software. Yeah, so everything is incredibly labor intensive. Truly. Truly. Since people are wondering if Yamaha will ever go cloud like Roland, of course they will. Of course they will. But you know that when they do it, there's going to be some kind of a hook. They're getting into it so late, and they obviously have the means to do this quicker. And that usually, to me, it just makes me think that there's a much bigger play coming. You know, I have not played with Arturia's DX7 yet, but I'm a DX7 fan. Zeep Xanthorpe, welcome in. How are you, man? Oh, dude, Javar, you are going to flipping love FM8. And when we do dip into it, I promise you, I will show you some shortcuts and some hacks in there. It's going to become one of your favorite ever synths. I have a feeling, especially with like the immersive kind of sound drama stuff that you're doing right now. Mm-hmm. You're absolutely going to love it. Paul says, I look at new synths, at any new synth is how it compares topologically speaking to the Minimoog, Serum, Pigments, Vital, etc. Check, check, check. There are controls. Can't read a single thing on Chris's screen. Is it just too small for you? Oh, wow. So Javar is saying, so Spitfire just released a new originals library of basically electronic sounds by some guy, but as I listened, I kept thinking I can make that in Serum, that on in Massive, etc. So I thought, why do I need this? I could just make these sounds myself. I could release my own library. Exactly, Javar. Exactly. Yeah. 100%. You're getting there. Or maybe you're there. I mean, if you're having these thoughts, you're probably there. You are now firmly seated on the 10% side of the fence. 2D pads are a definite plus for morphine. Yeah. Ooh, Evan says, I need a dedicated XY controller. Any recommendations? I like Chaos. Sensomorph. Unfortunately, other than the ones built into certain keyboards, there's nothing other than joysticks which don't work the same way. You know, that actually brings up a good point. Why don't we have a plug-and-play USB pad? It's 2022. Why is it that I have multiple things that I can draw on with pencils or pens or whatever, and like I can use my fingers for stuff, but why don't we have just an XY grid controller pad? You know, Rolly, who makes the Seaboard and Blocks, I think they may have just killed their Blocks line, but those, the bigger one might have been able to do that. I'm trying to think of anything else that has, you'd want it to be multi-touch, right? So Meritz is saying I could never get my KS pad to go in multiple directions. It would only go one direction. Try digging into it, but my KS pad is over 20 years old. Yeah, so it only goes one direction. Javar says the problem with the mouse pad is that every time you touch it, the XY values jump to the new position. Exactly. Paul says the Morphe and the Touche controllers for XY. Javar says I need a trackball that outputs MIDI so that whenever I touch it or roll it, it just moves with the ball instead of jumping. Dude, that'd be dope. Yeah, computer mouse pad won't work. What you need is, nowadays, what you need is a multi-touch, because I'm having I'm having a new instrument concept idea here. It's mixing together 3 or 4 different existing products, but imagine, if you will, the ability to oh wow, I guess it would have it would be triggering different events. It would be like a multi-touch XY event trigger is really what it would be. Just imagine each time you put your finger down on the pad that it you know, it moves the sound to this different position. But what if you could actually hold more than one position at once? Freaking dope. Javar says the other problem with the mouse pad is that focus has to be maintained on it. You can't use a mouse to control other things while you work with the mouse pad. They're both the same input. Saf says morphogene. Mimeophone. Saffron says, Mimeophone, I can't find anywhere. It's like a black market niche Euro rack, and you could only find it only certain niche websites like Modular Grid and Muff Wiggler, which isn't Muff Wiggler anymore. It's I forget what it's called now. Yeah, there is the Rolly. You know, it seems to me, Javar, like there would be I could probably put you in touch with someone. Can you do me a favor and just shoot me a DM about that, and I can connect you with someone? We can get your controller made. Huh. Evans the Bard is saying, I've really been getting into messing with sampled sounds on Pad Shop and Cubase, both grain and straight sampler. You know, I've never used Pad Shop in Cubase, but every single person that has ever talked to me about it just sings the praises. Like, it's got to be great. Instrument, multi-touch. Evan says, yeah, you can make one of those. I'll put my name on it, on the waiting list. Huh. Because COVID. Oh, man. Yeah. So many things are. Mod Wiggler. A Pad Shop guru. Well, man, I really need to find a way to make some time for some of your streams, man. I got to go dig through what you've been doing. I've got a new product line to work on. Maybe I'll work on a little bit of that with you guys right now. Since I've got a hard drive plugged in, we've got a little bit of time on the clock left. It's a fairly light week in regards to the learning thing. I'll put that up on the classroom channel. Yeah, okay, so for homework this week, using a monosynth and using some form of virtual analog synths, create 4 leads, 4 pads, 4 effects, like sound effects, 4 percussive sounds, and 4 bass presets. You would normally also be reading a bunch of papers on subtractive synthesis materials and watching historical documentaries on Moog and answering accompanying questions, but won't make you jump through all those hoops. And you also don't have anyone hovering over your shoulder during lab time today, which is fun. But I'll get this posted to the class channel on the Discord. But in the meantime, just make 4 of each or 5 of each of each sound type: lead, pad, effects, percussive sounds, and bass presets. And do that in each one, like monosynth and some other kind of virtual analog synth, and just see what comes up. And try your best to use the ones that are the most limiting to you. They don't have to be the most limiting, but the most limiting to you, right? It could be limiting because you don't understand what's actually happening yet, or it could be limiting because there's half as many knobs as you're used to, or whatever. Maybe it's most limiting because you can only use it 30 minutes at a time because it's a demo product or something. Oh, and he's even doing it on an old machine that can't really handle it, but he still makes it work. Now that's impressive. Yeah, DJ Empirical brought it up a couple of times. Thank you for sharing the link. Oh, nice. Liv was on and playing with those. That sounds cool. It's where it's like, homework, smoke if you got them. It has come up, question of viability on newer tech. Yeah, exactly. A pad shop crazy person. DJ Empirical, how's the M1 treating you in general? I think I'm going to open up Kontakt here. So one of the new product lines that I'm going to start grinding on here, there's actually a few. One is going to be an entry in the Pulse product line. So it'll be volume 2. And this one is going to be all orchestral. And I've got some fun ideas. Haven't really shared them with the team. Everyone's being challenged with just kind of turning in some stuff and seeing what people come up with. But I secretly have some thoughts that I'm wanting to explore. Just shakers. Well, let's see what these shakers are all about. I actually kind of like that. I'll come back to that though. I don't need just a shaker right now. Or maybe we'll just mute that and minimize it. Metal. What's in the metal category here? Triangle. All right, so we're going to do some pulses. But I want these to be completely different and really kind of layered up. Why am I not seeing what I'm looking for here? I need to slow down. Ooh, actually, what if we mix some of these analog strings with... Yeah, okay. Ideas coming together. Woodwind solo. Emotive strings. Brass solo, string ensemble. Basses. Okay, this is actually, I want shakers in a different set then. I'm going to use this one. I want this sharper. Okay, that's going to be one of our sounds. We're going to double up on that with another kontakt. And let's go up in the register for this one. All right, so here's what I'm thinking. A mix of sticks and shakers, things that can kind of give us those high energy frequency kind of textures, and low end, like throbbing, like sub realm bass, and some kind of sharp pluck mid-range bass sounds, kind of all hitting around the same time in these massive pulses, that are then given enough time to really breathe and like find their own resolve, and then pump out a bunch of these at different BPMs. Hey, Nate, what's up, brother? And you brought a party of 11 with you. How are things? How's life? We've just wrapped up a bunch of learning stuff. We were talking some analog synths, very low key this week, pretty simple stuff. We talked mono synths and retro synths of various types. And now I'm going to dig in for a little bit, for maybe the next half hour or so, on a new product line release. Some orchestral cinematic pulse type stuff with a twist. Going to make it fairly hybrid-ish in this. Oh, Evans, you're not on Serum yet. This is good to know. You've just started making kontakt instruments from sampling the pad shop sounds I create, but it's not as flexible in the end. Yeah, some of the new stuff I bet would be good to get into. The new granular engine. I'm not sure if you're, or the wavetable engine in there. Not sure if you're using that. Be interesting to play with. Maybe we should team up a bit. Celtic chiptune music. Nate, I was just thinking about you because another new product line will be introduced pretty soon, and it's going to be called I Heart 8-Bit. It's going to be kind of this ongoing theme of some retro product lines, but I Heart 8-Bit, and I think it's going to actually be one part music construction and one part just traditional sound library. So I bet you're going to freaking love it. Celtic chiptune. That's awesome, dude. Alu, welcome in. Michael's here. What's up, Liquid Phase? How are you, man? Happy Monday. And Blackberry, how are you? All right, so we're just about to pick out a little something. I'm going to go pluck. I don't think I'm going to be able to use this like as a plug, but I might take a little inspiration. Ooh, that was the inspiration. That's all I needed. Hold on a sec. go into sculpture for this one. There we go. Okay, so this and this. Okay, so we duck. All right, so we'll duck our base. So this is actually a base ensemble. So we'll call this bases. So we just want to duck that initially while this pluck is coming through. So we might even want to just group these. But before we do that, let's go find sticks and claps, maybe? Sticks and claps. We'll find a really good space to put these in. Let's do the sticks first. Maybe some taiko something, huh? I'm feeling some taiko. Crab food. Crab? Crabby food? Yeah, you know, we always forget about Vital too. I feel like, man, it's got to be hard to be a new synth on the block, you know? It's got to be just freaking hard. All right, so I'm going to put into this, I said probably some taiko. Nothing? Really? Nothing? Nothing. How is there nothing? All right, to my long list of things. I don't want this. I want this. Kontakt. Okay. Might be easier for me to find this really quick over here first. Okay. Let's just find this really quick. Kontakt. World. Sasha. Oh. You know who would actually be a good one in here is maybe Tone Hammer. And there we go. Tambourine room. There it is. There it is. Okay, so this is Little Epic. So let's go find that. We're going to go to Tone Hammer first. Man, I'm starting to wonder if I'm putting too much stuff on this drive. It's taking a minute to open things. Okay, we're going to go into Small Epic Percussion here. Looks like I downloaded this in 2009. It's a little old, but that is okay. Okay, so there's a few different things that I want to get in here, and we'll see if we can put this all into one instrument or not. First, let's do some clacks, and probably epic clacks, because we like epic. Okay, let me go up. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. These sticks. Ooh. Okay, those are good. All right, and I'm not sure what BPM I'm gonna work at yet. Let's go down 2. There we go. We'll record that. And I know these aren't going to be C's either, but whatever. And this one. Sure. Okay, so we're going to record that. Okay. And we're just going to shore these up really quick. Make sure these all snap. This one can come in just after. That's fine. This one got a snap. And this one has got a snap. Okay, so maybe a little less. Almost. All right, and we're going to add a little compression to this thing. We'll do that in audio form, though. For now, we'll just go a little off. And this guy, we'll let it roam the roost down here. And this guy, we're going to take off all of these. Okay, cool. So now we're going to spread these. Let's keep that to 1 bar. And let's say it's silent for 1 bar. We'll loop that, and let's just put all of this into one group and do a quick test and see if this is kind of in the direction that we want. So this is our mother group now. Let's just how about some thermal first? Okay, next comes pitch. Let's go to some replica for delay rather. And we're gonna take this much further out here. Okay, let's bring this down. And let's cut out those lows and the highs. Bit of saturation. Up our rate there so we can actually hear this detune. All right, and send that out to the sides. Okay, and this has got to resolve a bit better. So we'll say these actually run a bit further out. A little bit more. Okay, this is not long enough. Oh, you know what? That'd be kind of a cool... Oh, it doesn't give it enough time to resolve, though. Right, let's do this last one. this one over here after 4 bars, and we'll just see what that sounds like instead. Yeah, it really does feel like it should be here. All right, let's put this into a reverberated space. Again, this is just a test. We'll process these things a little differently. If we like it, actually, yeah, okay, let's do this. Paul. That's a little bit closer. Let's just skinny up these frequencies here. Give it a little separation. Okay. Back to our delay. Get this up to about 25% or so. I guess we need it up a bit more. Okay, so we need these two to come out more. And on 3, where was that? Yo, Nate, take care, brother. Yeah, okay, so this saturation is not the right saturation. We're gonna come back and fix that in a bit. Evans is looking up Vital. I'm catching up on the chat here for a minute. New Valentine's mug today. It's got a little red butt. Yeah, Aaron Imp is saying Vital is absolutely worth checking out. It's got a lot of really great ideas, and I'm sure that come version 2, it will have a bit more of the it factor. I think it needs to figure out what it is compared to those other things. I feel like Phase Plant has the modular thing. Pigments has got kind of this new way of looking at modulation assignments and whatnot. Serum is obviously Serum. It brought together the features that everybody loved in Massive and Absinthe from Native Instruments and put it all into one. So we just need to know what Vital actually is, and I think that who's making that? Is that Matt? Anyway, he'll figure it out. Yeah, that is a heavyweight ring to step into, but it can't. It's like it's not a closed conversation. There's obviously going to be newer and better synths at different times. Oh, Pendulate from Newfangled is total wackadoodle fun. Yep. Yeah, we need to play with that still as well. Yeah. Alu, I think the hard drive being slow over here is a byproduct of Time Machine. I moved a bunch of stuff over to it and did not run a Time Machine backup directly after that because it re-indexes. It will actually move things depending upon how the blocks are being used. It's a large drive, so the way that the Mac prefers to write to it is a bit wonky, and things are a little weird until you restructure after a save. It's really what it is. Nice. Yeah, I think maybe we just need to do this after the time-based effects here. Let's go back in. Or we could play with some minimal. Let's play with some Rift here. Maybe it'll help me find my desired flavor a little bit easier. No, there needs to be one more. Hold on a second. There needs to be one more. We're going to open this up really quick and find... Ooh. There it is. Give me just one sec here. That's pretty close. It's not quite there. That's closer. We can go in and tighten that up in a bit. All right, let's get our... What do we want here? Let's do a little wave shape and resin. Okay, and let's put a little noise in. I'll do a little ghost down here. Okay, and now we're just going to bring back our wet dry quite a bit here. All right, so we're going to take this one out, copy this one over, and we need to do a little mod on this, which means we should probably do this on the region, and we're going to go into expression. And we're going to put the peak here. Both of those seem like they're choking it. All right, not sure why that is not taking a bit. We'll just do it the old-fashioned way. Switch this over to latch. No, that's just weird. It's just not, it should be expression. I see. I see what's going on here. Okay. So weird. I know this probably just looks like straight up silence to you guys. For some reason, it's not learning. Let me just get out of automation mode and try that again. Weird. It's not learning for me. All right, so then we'll set this to 75. Okay. Oh. Maybe that's why I'm not actually even seeing that parameter listed here. So 75. Still not working. Weird. I don't know why. I probably just need to update logic or something. Weird. All right. All right. I wonder if it'll show up in my list now that I've given it a name over here. 75. That's really weird. MIDI control. Oh. Maybe I just assigned it to something that it was already working on in a different section. Okay, let's go back up into here. I'm gonna go to guitar rig. Put a little beefy low end on this. Man, too many frequencies. I'm gonna have to approach that a different way. Okay, back to our taikos. We're just gonna start a new one here. Go back to kontakt. And we're going to open up some sort of taiko, I think. Unless I find something else in here that I like. Hold on just one second. A bent cymbal, bicycle spokes, billboards, butter box, ceramic jar, chandelier, chemical barrel. Chemical barrel is kind of fun. Fiberglass tube, galvanized bar, glass lamp, junk bell, junk kings ensemble, old cog. Piano string hammer bend, piano string hammer, piano string pluck, plastic orb, rusty box, steel flowers, Tibetan chime tree, tin can, warning sign, water cooler. Old cog. Okay, I think maybe a really minimal sound like this. It's this tiny little tine kind of a sound. And I'm just going to reverse that, I think. It's got a bit of a low end kind of hammer thunk to it. So I'm probably going to have to EQ this a bit, but we'll get this. So print it first. Take a look at it. Just reverse this. Okay. Actually, let's unreverse that. EQ it first. It's always easier. Let's take off half of that low end. That's pretty good. All right, let's line this thing up. All right, one more element before we move on. Let me leave that little reversal in there. I'm going to go back again. Go back again into kontakt, and again, I'm just going to grab from a similar kind of high frequency type of sound, I think. I'm trying to remember where my preferred taikos are. Okay. Serious though. Where? Where are my taikos? Where are they? Let's just find them really quick. These are in GarageBand. I didn't even know that GarageBand had taikos. I did not know. But now I do. Here they are. Yeah, I'm looking for some sticks actually. Oh. All right, well, I don't know where my taikos are. I'm going to use some sticks of some sort. Let's get back into here then and grab something funky. Let's do a... Do we have a rim on this one? Shake, all strike, hands, mallets. I'm thinking back in here again, actually. Clacks, shakers, rolls, bells, clap, triangle. They're not in a closet in this room, dude. They're in the garage. You kidding me? There's actually a pretty impressive taiko group that you can catch sometimes down by the waterfront in Portland, which is great. Samaritans, take care, homie. Hope you find the right taco, right? Oops. Let's get this auto on here. This is what I'm looking for. So we found them. All right, let's use some of these. Oh, and those were back up here. I can just, sweet. So I'm going to find that. There it is. Epic, just regular percussion. There we go. All right, let's find those sticks. They're up 1 octave, I believe. Vibra slap. All right, so let's get some triplets on this. Let's move out of dotted and into triplets. Give it the same rate and depth approximately. Oh, no, that doesn't work at all for that second one. Kind of lost it there. All right. Oh, Subvids is saying, you might have missed previous, but what do you reckon to these orchestral tools? What are these about? What do we got here? Orchestral tools. Dogu. Ooh. Ooh. Sure, let's accept those. It can be really hard to find that like low end clarity for rapid articulation. It sounds like there could be a little bit of low end removed in some of those that could help. Like it's tough because this is a fair representation of the sounds. I love how full spectrum the low end is in these actually. Yeah, these are, I feel like this is like a thunderous kind of a drum. It doesn't have the same like edgy definition as such a as taiko or a lot of the like larger frame type drums. This has got, it feels like maybe a slightly looser head, so it's got more vibration. Like it just takes a lot longer for everything to you know, resolve, but also kind of find its peak too, like a true peak. It's such a great tone. Yeah, it sounds really nice. Yeah, I often just wish that people would put up some dry stuff for their actual demos so you don't have to go hunting for them. Yeah, look how big that is. Oh my goodness. This sounds nice. Wow, that dragon drum is just beastly. This gives so much more insight as to what we're hearing. I do like these. I do like these. Javar is using a lot of this, he says. Taiko Creator. Nice looking collection. Nice recordings. Yeah, these are nice. I can see why you use this, Javar. It's nice. And you desperately want... This is from Roland. Ooh. Oh. Damn it, Javar. Shit. Okay. Now I'm... Man, I'm going to get some new Tychos. Oh, why did I just do that? Did I just do that? Oh, okay. So now I want one of those. 1,000. Damn it, Javar. I want them to come up with a really, 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 really good synthetic head. I know they can. I want the ultimate hand drum. That's what I want next, is because I love the V drum skin, like the mesh head that they've made for these. I've had a couple of different V kits. So I love them. I'm an absolute fan. I want like a really good synthetic head though. I want to be able to play, like move fluidly between a djembe and a doumbek and tablas. Oh man. Yeah. Oh, I play them on stage with lasers. Oh. Yeah, BlackBerry, you just have to do all like direct in recordings, huh? You just have to. Wow. All right. I need to save this. And I think I think I might actually save this one as 80D this time, and we're going to call this pulses, and it's going to be in the orchestral. And we'll call this one bass and sticks 1. Yeah, I'm already starting to hear where this is going to go. I have a pretty clear vision of where I want to take all those things. Awesome. All right. Let's see who's playing right now. Let's see who's up. Pintech improved upon them even more, huh? I have not tried Hand Sonic. Seen it, but not tried it. Oh, still Ace. That's an easy one. We'll go say hi. See what he's up to. You guys, thank you so much for spending time with me on this chill Monday. I'll see you again on Wednesday in just a couple of days. Stay inspired, and I'll see you on the flip. We're going to go visit Stoles. Peace out.